Steelers and the Lions coming up at Heinz Field this Sunday. 3-6 Steelers guy, but there is one team that made a run from a 3-6 start to a postseason. That was the Washington Redskins from a couple years ago. So it has been done, but I think now you're looking at...
It could happen.
It's a game with Detroit, and they've got a division title in their sights. Maybe a gimpy Calvin Johnson that comes in. He's missed a couple of days of practice, but is expected to play. And how do you just kind of give me your overview? What are you seeing this Sunday?
Calvin Johnson only caught one pass the last time the Lions came here because he hurt his knee, and he usually misses it. Remember when Hines Ward, late in his career, he got I think it was Thursday, he never practiced. Usually there's a day each week that they give him off, but it's been 2 days in a row. So we'll see if he practices today or not. That obviously could be an effect. I mean, he's up there, 9 touchdown catches, I believe, for the year. One of the leading receivers in the league, and obviously one of their main weapons. But I think there's a lot of things here that have me worried about this game. It's a pretty good defense that they have, very good against the run. I don't know if the Steelers are going to be able to run against them. The Steelers have had a problem with giving up sacks, and they're tough up front. So my general overview is I think the Steelers are in for a tough day.
They have to get rid of the ball quick. One thing Todd Haley, the Steelers offensive coordinator, talked about yesterday was that every team tries to get it out quick against Detroit because they've got Sue and Fairley in the middle, and those guys, as you say, get pressure on the quarterback every week. They've become very good at defending wide receiver screens. Everybody tries it. So I'm thinking to myself, what is their alternative then? That means, well, they can either take a couple of shots deep on some fade routes, some go routes on the sidelines, but I really think this has got to be a big week for Le'Veon Bell in the pass game. Some screen department, outside running, checkdowns, and Heath Miller's got to have a bounce-back week. He's struggled the last few.
He has. I'm a little encouraged, but the Steelers have rushed for over 100 yards as a team 3 of the last 4 games now. They're definitely better now than they were in September. There's a lot of reasons for that. Bell is healthier. I think the line is gelled a little bit. It continues to have injury problems, but I still think it's better than certainly it was against Tennessee or against Chicago or some of those early season games. But you always look at matchups in sports, and I don't think this is a particularly good one for what the Steelers
looks
do.
Like a shootout, like they've got to keep up, right?
Yeah,
on paper.
I mean, if it gets into an aerial shootout, I think that favors the Steelers. Actually, Matt Stafford's played well, but his main weapon is injured, and I think the Steelers, they could put up the passing yardage. And Antonio, you talk about Calvin Johnson all you want. Antonio Brown's the leading receiver in the league.
Maybe he's got that chip on his shoulder. It's also a week where Ben Roethlisberger has become sort of a focus of one outlets media attention, the NFL Network during the game and then after the game on Sunday against the Bills, but then now again last night during the Thursday night game, coming out with a Michael Silver report at halftime that the Steelers aren't happy with some of his work away from the field and his commitment to changing the way he plays, and that gets into whether he's going to be here or not beyond this season. Roethlisberger popped off on local radio again Friday morning. It's definitely got his attention. I wonder how he responds to all these this week.
Yeah, you wonder how much of a distraction this turns out to be for him or for the team. But this isn't new news, Ken. We know the team isn't happy with his work ethic and I don't even say the work ethic, but his style of play. The whole reason they wanted to go back to a more of a running game. I mean, Art Rooney himself, Yep. Arians was let go. They brought in Le'Veon Bell. This was all designed to run more than they had been, to protect him a little bit. They didn't like the freewheeling under Arians. So this isn't new news. A lot of the major moves they've made the last couple of years have been because they don't care for that style of football, whether it's Ben's style or the style of the offensive coordinator.
Well, if they're unhappy with the way they have not changed, as you say, it's been a continuing theme. They've wanted to keep him clean. It hasn't happened. We've had reports that the whole offensive staff's going to get fired and that maybe Ben would ask for a trade, and now that maybe they're unhappy with Ben and wouldn't pay him. There's a lot of smoke here.
Yeah.
Can you just get rid of everybody? I mean,
or
is this all BS?
I think the hardest to replace, you can get rid of every offensive coach. You can get rid of the offensive coordinator. I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen. The good ones aren't a dime a dozen, but you can replace them. It's much harder to replace a top 10 quarterback in this league. It took the Steelers 30 years to get one after Terry Bradshaw retired. So, you still have to be careful. It might not be exactly what you want, but as I've said all along, I think a lot of it will depend on. I don't believe they would trade him unless they are able to draft someone they think could be their next starting quarterback of the future. And if they end up winning 5 more games the rest of this year, they're not going to get that guy this year. And so a lot of it will depend on how they play the rest of this season.
The drive for number 4, Sunday at Heinz Field. Guy Junker, Kent Laird, TribLive.com.